Hello everyone, welcome to part 15 of my video series featuring Build the Millennium Falcon by Agostini. In this episode we're going to have a look at issue 27 and 28, and I have the bags right here with all the parts inside, and of course I also have the magazines right here, but we are not really going to deal with that. Well, maybe there's going to be some instructions or something that we're going to have a look at, but our main focus will be on the parts here. So let me just take out all the parts from issue 27 and put them out on the table, and we'll have a look at all the bits and pieces. 2 seconds. Alright, so here we have all the pieces from issue 27, and as you can see it was quite a content-rich bag this time around. Now first and foremost we get yet another piece for the assembly jig, and I think this is actually the final piece. I'm not really 100% sure, but I think it is. So that's pretty cool. Then we get a sprue here with some cushion pads. We've seen that before. These are for the interiors. Actually, I do believe that they are for this piece that we get, which is the port corridor base, I think they call it. And if you recall, in my previous video I talked about there was this kind of an exit from the main hold leading nowhere really, but it looks like it's leading to the additional rooms and compartments of the Millennium Falcon, but you don't really get that with this build. But there's a doorway in any case, and I think this is the one, and these cushion pads are just supposed to go inside here. Then we get part of the hull here. It's kind of a canvas really, so something is definitely gonna go on top of this, but yeah, it's part of the hull still. Also, this piece has these long sprues here also, so that's kind of interesting, but I don't really know where it's supposed to go at this time. Then we get some more parts for the framework. We get one piece of the framework, as well as one of those support ribs and one of those 4-hole thingies that are supposed to join together two parts of the support ribs. You've seen that before. And finally we get some small bags here. There are some of those soft pads for the assembly jig. We get two kinds of brass screws, some silver screws, and then finally some black screws. So that's basically all the parts that you get with issue 27. Now, I just looked through the instructions, and it's actually quite interesting this time around, I think. Now this is just all the parts that you get and the overview. But if we move on, well, we can see that they're installing the floor into this passage thing here. And then they are adding the cushions on the sides and all that. So yeah, this is the port exit of the main hold, which, yeah, we talked about that previously as well. But then if we look over here, it seems like they're actually adding to the framework of the Millennium Falcon. So I think we'll be doing that in this video as well, but I might save it until after we've had a look at issue 28. So I keep the assembly at the end of this video instead. But there's even more actually. Yeah, this is the instructions as to how to assemble the framework. But if you look over here, you can see that they're actually assembling the jig, for the support jig for the Falcon. And it looks like that they're almost completing it. Maybe they are missing a few parts. Yeah, I think they're actually missing 2 parts, but you can actually go ahead and assemble it now and make use of it, I think, because it's gonna provide a support for the framework as it is right now. But I'm gonna have a look at that. I'm gonna save the assembly for the end of this video, so I'm just gonna quickly grab issue 28. I have the bag right here, and just check what parts we get, go over all that, and once we're done with that, we'll move on to the assembling. So sit back and just give me a few seconds while I need to sort all these parts before I do anything, and then we're going to have a look at issue 28. So 2 seconds. Alright guys, so here are all the parts from issue 28. And as you can see, there are not as many parts here as we had with issue 27, so the bag was a bit smaller. But again, we get a little bit of everything here. We get part of the hull. This is called BP22, so part of the bottom plating. And again, we have some weathering going on here. Some of it seems like it's going to be covered by some other part at a later time. And then underneath we have one of those long pegs yet again. But yeah, that's pretty cool. We get part of the framework here. This is a big piece, so it's for the outermost ring of the main dish. We get, this must be part of that port side corridor that we already talked about in this video just a few moments ago. Then we get one of those end rings, and I guess this is gonna go on here for the port corridor. Then we have a sprue here with some cushion pads for one of those passage things. We've seen that many times by now. So yeah. And finally, we get a small bag here containing 3 of those black screws. Again, that's a really odd low number, but yeah, they are just feeding us these black screws over time. And yeah, I already have quite a lot of these lying in my sorting box. So that's basically it for issue 28. If we just quickly grab the instructions and have a glance at them, it's pretty simple this time around. It seems like they're continuing working on that port side corridor, adding some more cushions to the interiors, and then they are doing the passageway that we got in this issue with the small tiny cushions here along the inner ring. And they're just putting all that together, and I don't know how well you can see, but when we look on the right side here in this picture right here, you can see that we have the main hold here, we have the passageway or the corridor leading to the cockpit going here, then we have the small entrance to the gun turret right here. We already talked about that, I think, in my previous video or something. And then finally, on the right side here, and on the paper it's on the right side, but this is the port side corridor that we've been talking about for these past issues. So that's basically it, guys. And as you can see, it's very short, which basically means that it's not really leading anywhere. It's just there to give you the illusion that the interiors of the Millennium Falcon is bigger than it really is in this model. So that's basically it for the instructions for issue 28. Now I'm gonna put these pieces away again, and then we're going to take some of the pieces that we got with issue 27 and start assembling or adding on to the main frame of the Millennium Falcon. So give me 2 seconds while I set it all up, and we'll get right to some assembling. Alright guys, so that basically wraps up the assembling of the framework in this video. And just to sum up, what we did was to add this section over here. It consists of 3 individual pieces, and we just added these with those black screws as we usually do. And along this edge here we have one of those support ribs that are added on also. And it was pretty straightforward. It was just the same recipe really as we've been following in earlier stages of the assembly of the framework, so it was just adding more to it really. The only problem or struggle that I had was that some of the black screws were kind of difficult to insert, and I think the problem there was that when you add these individual pieces here, they won't necessarily line up perfectly, so you kind of have to apply some force in order to position them correct, or just to nudge them just a bit so that the screws are easier to fit in. That was basically the only struggle that I had, but after I did the assembly I just went over everything once again, tightened everything and all that, and now everything here is just perfectly secured. It's solid, it's rock solid really, and all the screws and the connection points here are fixated completely. There are no wobbly parts or anything like that. So it was possible to do. It was possible to do it without too much hassle, really. And it's to be expected when you have all these individual pieces here that they are not necessarily aligning 100% as you are assembling it. So you have to kind of nudge them in order for it to kind of happen. And if I turn it around just to have a look at the outer side of it, because this is what it would look like from, well, outside. So this is the side where you will add all the hull plating to it, but this is still the bottom of the Millennium Falcon, by the way. And as you can see, it looks beautiful now. It looks very clean from this side because you don't really see all the screws and everything, and you can probably see that it's slightly curving as well, because this is the main dish of the Millennium Falcon and it has this slight curve to it. It's really getting big though, so I might have to work on a different camera setup as we get to later stages in order for me to fit in everything into the frame as I'm recording it, but I'll worry about that at a later time. Now the instructions, as I said early on in this video, they do mention the assembly jig, but I realized that I'm gonna wait doing that until later, because the instructions basically say that you have to assemble the jig and then put it on top of a stiff board such as a plywood or MDF, and then with double-sided tape attach them to that so you have a stable foundation for it. But I don't think I have a board like that lying around, not at this time at least, so I've just decided to wait with that because it's not really relevant for this video. But the instructions do mention that you kind of need this for later stages of the coming stages of this build here. So yeah, I'll see if I can't figure something out. But yeah, so with that said, I think that's basically it for this video here, part 15. And we have a tease, I think, of issue 29 at least. So let me just grab the back side of issue 28. As you can see, we have issue 29 here in the bottom, and I can see that we get more framework parts, and then we get this interesting ring here, and I hope we are going to attach that, because if we do, that's the ring that's going to go in the center here, and it's really going to provide some stable foundation for the integrity of the entire framework here. So that's going to be very interesting to see, but I don't know at this time. So with that said, guys, thanks a lot for watching this video. I hope it's interesting for you guys to follow me doing this build here. I love doing it, even though I'm a rookie and very much a noob when it comes to doing models and everything. But it's fun so far, and Agostini is doing a great job helping us newcomers to the hobby along with the progress here. So thanks a lot for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Do leave me a like if you enjoyed this video, and also subscribe to my channel if you want to see more of my videos like these, and also other kinds of videos that I do. Check it out, maybe you'll see something that you'll like. And if you have any questions or comments, of course, leave them in this comment section just below. Thanks a lot, guys, and I'll see you guys in my next video.